relax with our feet planted into the mat, knees to the ceiling. And just in this really nice supine position here, just easing out, not having too much going on. Let's place our hands on our belly and interlace the fingers. So it's almost like you're cupping your belly. And we start our yoga class with some breathing or pranayama, which is just to settle the body, give the body energy, and settle the mind as well. So I want you to breathe in through the nose. As you breathe in, you're going to fill the belly with air. The belly will expand. And then as you breathe out, start to soften the belly and the belly will lower. We're going to do that twice more. Breathing in, send the air to the belly, expand the belly. And then breathe out, soften the belly and allow the belly to relax. Last time, breathing in and breathing out. And just allow the body now to relax a little bit further and bring your breath back to your natural rhythm, whatever that is for you. So no forced breathing. I'm now going to start by just bringing our breath to our movement here. So bring your arms by your side. We're going to breathe in. As you do so, the arms are going to float up to the ceiling and then behind your head, and they're going to reach towards the floor behind you. As you breathe out, the arms are just going to float back down by your side. Again, breathing in and lifting the arms above the head. Just stretching through the shoulders, opening through the chest, and then as we breathe out, bringing them back down by your side. Plant the hands into the mat, so palms facing down, spread the fingers nice and wide, and we're going to come into bridge pose for a gentle lift of the hips. So you're going to start by tucking the pelvis under, and then we gently lift the hips off the floor, reaching the hips to the ceiling. They might not go so far. They're just going to have a little gentle lift before we breathe out and the hips start to lower back down towards the mat. We're going to do that twice more, just gentle lifting of the hips off the floor, easing out through the front of the body, stretching through the thighs, breathing out and lowering down onto the mat. Last time, breathing in, we're going to hover there for 2 breaths. So we just stay in this position with the hips off the floor. Take a nice breath in and out. Breathing in. And on the out breath, just rolling the hips back down towards the mat and bringing yourself back down. Now I'm going to take my right leg in towards my chest, hug my right knee in, have a little hug. And then circle the knee outwards. So we're going to do 4 circles of the knee outwards, warming the hips. And then when we've done 4 of those, we're going to circle the knee inwards and have a little stretch. Now bring that knee back in towards the chest and lengthen the left leg away from you, keeping it on the floor. So we have a little stretch of the left leg. Flex the left foot so we feel the backs of the legs working. And we're just hugging that right knee into the chest. We're going to come into a lower back stretch. So place the left hand on the right knee. The right hand comes into a T position, and you're going to draw the right knee over to the left hand side of the mat. And you might need to shuffle on the mat so that the right leg comes over. So it's going to have a little back twist here. My gaze is going to go towards my right hand, and I'm just gently drawing my right knee back down towards the mat. We're going to stay here for 2 breaths, having a little stretch. And your right arm might be floating off the floor. We're really trying to draw that right shoulder into the floor. And then slowly bring the right hip back onto the mat. So you're rolling back onto your back. And then we gently bring the legs, feet flat on the floor, knees to the ceiling. And we'll do that the other side. So breathe in, lengthen the left knee in towards the hip. Give a little hug. Circle the knee outwards. So we're having a little bit of a massage for the hip. And then circle the knee inwards. So bringing the knee towards you. And then hug that knee, left knee in towards the chest and slide the right leg away from you. So you're flexing the foot, the right leg is on the floor, and we're having a little bit of a deeper hug for the knee. We'll come into a lower back stretch on the left side. So plant the right hand onto the knee. The left hand goes into a T position, and we draw the left knee over towards the right side of the mat. Take your gaze towards the left hand and feel that twist in the lower back. Roll the hip back onto the mat, and again, bring yourself back onto the back. Find a little hug of the knees, both knees in together, and we're just going to have a nice little lower back stretch here. Rock side to side, so you're massaging the lower back into the mat, and we've got a gentle rocking. And then we're going to roll over onto our side, and then come up to a seated position, leaving yourself up, and we'll find a little seated position for some seated stretches. So you're going to, if you find sitting on the floor a little bit difficult, you can also get a cushion and put a cushion underneath you if you find the floor a little bit hard, or you can do these in a chair if you want. So we're going to place our arms by our sides, fingertips reaching down. Let's just take a little stretch of the neck. So I'm going to draw my chin towards my chest, have a little lowering of the head, slide the chin over to the right shoulder, and then lower the chin to the chest, slide it over to the left shoulder, and then again lower the chin to the chest. Once more, over to the right, and then towards the chin, chest, over to the left. So we're just easing the back of the neck out for this morning. And then lift the head, open the eyes, and we'll have a little side stretch. Breathing in, the right arm comes up to the ceiling. We slide the left hand away, and we take a little stretch and a reach. We're going to just stay here for one breath, breathing in. And then on the breath, see if you can just sink and see if you just allow that body to reach a little bit further. On the next in-breath, lift yourself all the way up and lower the hand on the out-breath. Inhale, lift the left hand up to the ceiling. Exhale, slide the right hand away, and then come over towards the right hand side. We take a little stretch and a reach, drawing that left hip down into the mat. Try not to lift the hips off. Nice breath. On the out breath, see if we can sink a little bit. And we inhale and lift, and exhale, lower the hand. We're going to come into forward fold. So bring your hands in front of you, and we're going to breathe in, and on the out breath, we're just going to walk the hands forward. You might not get your body all the way down, but that's fine. We're going to take 2 breaths here. So again, we're going to use the breath to lengthen the back muscles. So take a nice deep breath in, and then on the out breath, see if you can soften, visualize the muscles in the back lengthening and allowing the body to sink. Again, breathing in and sink. Good. Walk the hands back. We'll come back up to a seated position and bring the hands beside the hips on the floor. I'm going to square my elbows out. So I'm going to gently push the floor with my hands, nice square elbows, and I'm going to lift my upper back to the ceiling. So I breathe in, I lengthen the spine, lift the chest towards the ceiling, and take the gaze all the way up. A little stretch of the spine the other way. And then bring the gaze forward. I'm going to swing my legs over to one side, and we're going to come into all fours position. So let's plant the hands underneath us, spread the fingers nice and wide, bring the knees underneath the hips, and we're going to come through into cow-cat. So for cow, we're going to breathe in. As we breathe in, we tip the pelvis forward, we arch the back, we take the gaze up to the ceiling. As we breathe out, we come into cat, tucking the pelvis under, drawing the belly button towards the ceiling and the gaze to the thighs, stretching through the shoulders. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Breathing in and lengthen and open the back and the chest. Breathe out, starting with the pelvis, tucking the pelvis under, and we take the gaze to the thighs. Last one, breathing in, and we open, take the gaze up. And exhale, tucking the pelvis under. Lovely. Now bring yourself back to a neutral all fours position, and we're going to come for our spinal balance. So slide the right leg away from you. It comes off the floor and the foot flexes, and we find a little bit of balance in this position here. So this is option 1. If you want to come into the full balance, transfer your weight into the right hand and the left knee, and then slide the left hand away from you and find a little bit of spinal balance. If you're feeling too wobbly, you can always bring that hand back down towards the mat. And we're just going to hover here. Keep breathing. And then exhale, slide that right hand back down. Bend the left leg at the knee so the foot flexes. And we're just going to do 8 little pulses, working the glutes and the backs of the legs. So we reach the foot up to the ceiling 8 times. 8 and 7 and 6 and 5, 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Lower the knee down to the ground, and we're going to come into child's pose for today. So the hips are going to lower towards the heels, and you're going to bring your hands beside the shins. The hands are going to point towards the feet. And we tuck our head in, having a little stretch through the spine. If you need to, you can open the legs out nice and wide. If you need a little bit more space in front of you, and bring the hands into fists underneath the foreheads. So you've got a couple of options there. And in this pose, we're just trying to relax at the hips and allow the hips to settle towards the heels. We inhale, lift our hips up, come back into all fours, and we're going to come and do that on the other side. So my left leg is going to extend away from me, foot flexed. It lifts off the floor and we find a balance. Draw that belly button into the spine so you're feeling nice and secure in your middle and your core. Once you've got that balance, transfer the weight into the left hand and the right knee, and the right hand starts to slide away from you. We're going to stay here for 4 breaths, just trying to find that balance. If you do feel that you're rocking, you can always place that hand back down onto the mat. But keep breathing. And then lowering the hand back down. And bend the left leg at the knee. And we're going to do 8 little pulses. We go 8 and 7, 6 and 5, 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Lower the knee back down towards the mat. And this time we're going to come into puppy pose. So it's almost like a preparation for our downward dog. So we stay in this kneeling position here. My hips are going to stay over my knees, but I'm going to walk my hands away from me, bringing my forehead towards the floor. Now, if I need to widen my hands to create a wider V to get my forehead down, you can do that. Alternatively, keep the hands on the mat in line and you'll get a deeper stretch across the shoulder blades. This is our little preparation for downward dog. Have a little stretch through the back, the shoulders. And again, we can use the breath here just to sink and open. Let's walk the hands back underneath us, and we're going to come back into a kneeling position. So I'm going to come into a kneeling position here, and we're going to come into camel pose. So camel pose is opening the front of the body. We're going to place both hands on the base of the spine. So option 1 is here, where we're protecting the lower back by spreading the fingers nice and wide. If it's in your practice, the full camel pose, you bring your hands towards your heels. If you know what you're doing there, then you can feel free to do that. But for this morning, if you want a nice gentle one, keep your hands on your lower back. So we breathe in. And then as we do so, we draw the hips forward, we open through the front of the body, we take the gaze all the way up to the ceiling, and we have a little stretch. My elbows are drawing in together, so I'm opening through the front of the body. And again, if it's in your practice, you can take your hands to the heels, but maybe not for this morning. Stretch. And then we inhale, lift the body upright nice and gently, release the hands from the lower back and just give those wrists a little workout. So interlace the fingers, and I'm just going to have a little rock and roll. So we're going to come into a modified extended side angle in a kneeling position just to open the hips out. So I'm going to come through to the front edge of the mat just here. I'm going to take my right leg out to the side in a nice square position. If it's a little bit hard on your knees, you can always fold the mat underneath your knees if you need to. So nice square leg here, and I'm trying to open the knee out from the hip. So my natural position of the hips wants to rock backwards this way. What I'm trying to do is open the knee and trying to be flat against the front edge of the mat. I'm going to bend my elbow of my right arm and tip my body towards the forearm comes onto the thigh. I'm going to inhale. My left hand either comes to my hip, all the way up to the ceiling, or palm facing down beside your ear. And you're trying to stretch through the left hip at the same time opening through the right hip. So we're having a little stretch. We inhale, lift the left hand up to the ceiling and lower it down. We're going to come into gate pose. So this is just an extension of this. So we lengthen the leg if we can. If that's too much, just keep that leg nice and bent. Place the right hand onto the thigh, and you're going to slide the right hand down as you lift the left hand up. So we breathe in, lift the hand. As we breathe out, slide the hand down the leg. Be mindful of the knee so we don't put too much pressure on, and we come into a slightly deeper stretch. We inhale and lift, and exhale and lower the left hand. And we're going to do that on the other side. So just draw that knee in towards you and bring it down. And we're going to do on the other side. So opening the foot out. Again, your hip wants to go back. See if we can open the hips out using the inside thigh and the outside thigh muscles to do that. We're going to bend the left elbow and then tip the body so the forearm is coming into the thigh. We inhale, lift the right hand up to the ceiling. And again, it can either come to your hip, up to the ceiling, or all the way towards your ear with the palm facing down. And we're trying to rotate that knee away and out towards the little toe. So we get a little stretch of the hip for this morning. And again, using the breath to open through the shoulder, draw the shoulders into the back. We inhale, we lift. And exhale, lower the hand. We're going to lengthen that left leg away from us, toes pointing out. Again, if it's too much, keep it nice and square. And then planting the left hand on the mat, on the thigh, we're going to inhale and start to take a little lean and a bend and a stretch. And the hand reaches down towards the shins, and we take a little stretch and a reach. Again, we'll feel that stretch across the hip. And then we inhale and lift and exhale and lower. Let's bend that leg, bring it underneath us, and then come back into a kneeling position. I'm going to swivel back onto my knees into all fours because we're going to come into downward dog, our first downward dog for today. So plant the hands in front of you, spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes under at the back, just give those toes a little squish. So I'm tucking my toes under and just wake up the soles of the feet. Maybe have a little wiggle of the toes just to wake them up. And we breathe in. On the out breath, we're going to take our weight into our hands and lift our hips up to the ceiling, keeping our legs bent. So we're in our preparation. If this is too much for you, you can always go back down to all fours. Then we're going to step the dog out. So I'm going to lengthen one leg and bend the other, and then lengthen the other leg and bend the other. So it's almost like a stepping, walking action with the backs of my legs, just to ease out the backs of the legs for this morning. So we're just gently stepping out, making sure that we're just having a little walk out. And then once we've had a few of those, little rounds of those, we're going to come to our still downward dog pose. So we straighten the legs and then draw the heels down into the mat. And we're reaching the chest towards the thighs and opening through the shoulders. And I'll just take a nice stretch here. And then lower the knees back down towards the mat, giving our wrists a little workout. So come back into a kneeling position. Just give those wrists a little shake out for this morning. So a lot of what downward dog is taking its weight bearing exercise for our hands. So it's quite important that we do some exercise. But let's come back. We're going to come up through standing through a little crouching position. So plant the hands into the floor, tuck the toes under at the back, walk the hands back towards the knees, and then rock onto your heels. So we're coming into a crouching position just here. We're going to tuck the head in, and then we're going to come through a forward fold position. So I'm going to plant the feet into the mat, lift the hips up to the ceiling, and keep my legs bent. I'm going to hang my body over my legs. reaching my hands towards the floor, and we're just going to allow us to soften into the back. So this is called a ragdoll pose, and in this position you're trying to relax the head, relax the neck, and then perhaps have a little nod of the head, so tucking the chin into the chest, maybe shake the head, and then swinging the arms side to side, releasing any tension in the lower back or the hips. We're going to come through to stillness. Walk your hands all the way up the legs and then plant the hands onto the thighs. We're going to lengthen the backs of the legs and lengthen the spine. So we come into almost like a 90-degree angle at the hip, keeping nice and straight. So this is a modified monkey pose. So we're just keeping those backs of the legs nice and long, good. And then on the next in-breath, we lever the body upwards, bringing the body in, squeezing those inside thighs to come up to standing, nice and straight and tall. Lovely, well done. Let's come through to the center of the mat and we'll have some standing stretches to start. So we're going to start with mountain pose, which is just about alignment and making sure our body is in line with itself. So it's a really nice way of just checking in with ourselves, noticing any of the bad habits that we might have picked up for the week. So we're going to lift all 10 toes up from the floor, spread the toes nice and wide on the ground, and then just imagine the feet spreading onto the mat, or the carpet or whatever you're on, so that you feel the floor underneath your feet. And then lengthen through the backs of the legs. So push the feet into the ground and you'll feel the backs of the legs lengthening. And then draw the belly button towards the spine. I'm working up through the body. My shoulders are going to come and just have the shoulders nicely into the back, so they're just reaching down. Maybe rotate those arms outwards. So a slight rotation of the arms outward to imagine that we're standing on top of a mountain. And then finally my neck. I'm not going to stick my chin out, but just dropping my chin so my jaw is parallel with the floor. And I'm just going to stand there in this lovely mountain pose, imagining that scenery in front of me. Now we're going to shift our shoulders over the balls of the feet. So I'm going to take my weight forward slightly so that the heels lift off. When you feel the heels just lifting off, push the balls of the feet into the ground and come in for a little rise. So we lift the heels off the floor and find our rise. Lovely, well done. And then lower the heels with control down into the floor. Let's bring our hands towards our heart and we're going to come into chair pose. So we're warming up our core. We bend the knees, drop the hips, bring the body slightly forward. So I'll just turn a little bit so you can see. And I'm just making sure my knees are over my ankles and my hips are over my knees. And I'm going to hover in this position here. So this warms up your core, the backs of the legs, the glutes, the back. It gives you a nice warm glow. Good. And now if you want to make it a little bit more difficult, draw your hands parallel with the floor. So that we're holding them. Good. You can always come back to the hands to the heart, which is a nice gentler pose. And then if you want to make it more difficult, bring the hands towards the ears. So we have a little. And then inhale, push the feet into the floor, push the legs and lengthen the legs and come back up to standing. Lovely. Excellent. Let's come into high mountain. So this time I'm going to do exactly the same, a little rise, but with my arms to the ceiling. So I bring my arms up to the ceiling. Good. I'm going to lower my shoulders into my back, draw my belly button towards my spine. All those checks that we did with the feet, the backs of the legs, belly button, shoulders down, and then shift your weight over the balls of the feet. And then we'll just gently come in for a rise. So lifting the heels off the floor, finding a balance for today. And then lowering the heels back down towards the mat. Good. Let's bring our hands towards heart center and we'll come back into chair pose. So bending the knees, dropping the hips, and then finding your pose here. Again, you can keep your hands at your heart, or if you want to make it more difficult, bring the hands either parallel with the floor or beside the ears. Your choice. And then we're pushing the feet into the floor, come back up to standing, and we have a little right, good, lift, good. Let's just circle the feet at the ankles, giving those ankles a little workout, and we'll come up to a strong standing pose. So we're going to do warrior 2 and reverse warrior as a little flowing action moving through. So for those that haven't done warrior 2 before, we take the right foot to the short edge of the mat, the left foot comes to the long edge of the mat, and the heel of my right foot is in line with the arch of my left foot just here. You can make the feet narrow or wide, but what we're aiming for in this position is we're just aiming for the knee to be over the ankle when we bend our leg, so rather than past it. So let's start the pose together. We inhale, we bring our hands up to shoulder level. We take the gaze over the middle finger of the front hand, and then as we exhale, bend that front knee, opening that knee out, and we're in a warrior pose. And again, if your knee is past your ankle, just work that back leg out a little bit so we shift the weight so that it doesn't place too much pressure on the ankle. Now we're going to come into our little flow into reverse warrior. Slide the left hand to the thigh, the right hand turns to the ceiling. We inhale. We lift the hand and come into reverse warrior, taking the gaze. We've got a little stretch. And then we're going to flow back down into warrior 2 so the arms come down as we breathe out. We're going to come and do that again. Breathing in, turn the palm up to the ceiling, left hand to the thigh. We lift the gaze. We're just there for a moment before we come back to warrior 2. Last one. This is our third and final. Inhale and lift. And exhale back into warrior 2. Good. And then we lengthen the front leg, lower the hands, and bring the feet in together, having a little stamp out for the hips. So if you need to, just give those hips a little workout. Good. And circle the hips at the ankles, easing everything out. Well done. And we're going to do that on the other side. So let's take the left foot to the short edge, the right foot to the long edge. We engage the thighs, so be nice and strong. Push those feet into the floor. So again, find those spreading toes. We inhale, lift the hands up to shoulder level. We exhale, take the gaze over the middle finger of the front hand, and we bend that front standing leg, opening the knee out like we did when we were in a kneeling position. We turn the palm upwards, the right hand comes to the thigh. We inhale, take the gaze upwards, and we lift the chest and the gaze. We exhale, turn the palms down into warrior 2, opening through the thigh. We inhale and lift. And exhale and lower. Third and final, inhale and lift. And exhale and lower. Lovely. Let's lengthen that leg. Let's bring those legs and feet in together and have another little ease of the hips. Good. Have a little stretch. Well done. So we'll come into our final balance for today, which is tree pose. So if you feel your balance is a little bit off, just grab the wall or something beside you, and you can also have your hand on the wall. Alternatively, I'll give some different positions of the feet so that you can do some balancing on the floor as well. So just be mindful of your balance this morning. Let's start with our hands towards our heart, bringing our thumbs towards our sternum. And again, it's about knowing where our weight is and being able to just engage that core. So we shift our weight over towards the left leg. Find it. Can you see my body just shifting? Releases the right leg from the floor. We turn the leg out from the hip. And option 1 is just to prop the foot up onto the floor. Option 2 is to bring the foot to the ankle. 3 to the calf, or if you need to assist it, up. And that's it in your practice today. You can bring your leg up to the thigh. So I'll just take it, bring it to my ankle just here. And we're going to use the breath and the hands at the heart. And you're going to focus on something out in front of you, a concentration point. Just notice all the little shifts the body's making to keep you balanced. And then we're going to lower the foot down onto the mat. Well done. Let's just circle the foot at the ankle. And we're going to come onto the other side. Again, you know your body, so you might find one side's a bit more balanced than the other. that's absolutely normal. We always have a stronger side. So let's bring our hands towards our heart. Again, drawing the belly button in, softening the shoulders into the back. Shift our weight over towards the right leg this time. The left leg will lift off the floor. You turn the leg out from the hip and bring the foot towards the ankle, the calf, or the thigh, depending where your practice is today. Just being mindful of the knee. And again, taking the energy and focus out. Don't forget to breathe as we balance. And then lowering the foot down towards the floor. Lovely. And then again, let's circle the feet at the ankles. Very nice. Great. We're going to work our way down to the floor for a couple of seated stretches before we come for our relaxation. So let's come towards the top edge of the mat. I'm going to roll down through my spine. So draw my chin towards my chest, and then I'm going to soften at the shoulders. Let's bend the knees, and I'm just going to reach my hands towards the floor, coming forward into a forward fold. Plant the hands into the mat with the legs bent, and I'm going to step my right leg out and behind me. And then I'm going to lower my, bring my left leg down into a plank. So if I can step my left leg out into a plank, I can. If not, lower both knees down towards the kneeling position. And then we're going to stay into plank. So option 1 is to lift the knees off. Option 2 is to lower the knees and give yourself a little modified plank. Option 3 is to come into all fours. So you've got a few options. And we're going to hover there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then either lower chaturanga if that's in your practice, or lower the knees down towards the mat and tuck your toes. Keep the elbows bent and tuck those elbows in, and we lower ourselves towards the mat. My face is forward, and we're going to do a little back bend called cobra. So slide the hands towards the chest, lengthen the legs away from you, so we've got the energy in the legs. And then taking the weight into the hands, you lift the back and take the gaze out, and we'll find a little cobra. So again, not so high if that's you've got lower back issues. And then exhale and lower. Allow the body to fall forward, and then relax the hips, shaking the hips side to side. We're going to do that once more. So breathing in, and we lift. Might come a little bit higher this time. And exhale and lower. Bring the legs in line with the hips if they've gone a little bit wide. And then we're going to come back into child's pose as a counter pose. So take the weight into the hands, the hips go towards the heels, and this time extended arms with child's pose. So my arms are going to stay there, and I'm going to lengthen through the spine and the shoulders. And then lifting yourself all the way up, we're going to work our way onto our bottom for one seated stretch. Ooh. So we're just going to bring the soles of the feet together. If you need to sit on a cushion for this, or a block, and you've got one to hand, then do so. And we're just going to bring the soles of the feet together for a cobbler's pose. My toes are a bit cold. I'm going to give them a little rub. So find the sit bones in towards the mat, and we lengthen through the spine. Good. You can feel those are 2 sit bones on either side. We're going to lean forward from the hips, bringing the body forward. And then when we can't go any further forward with a flat, straight back, we allow the shoulders to soften over and bring our forehead towards the toes. And then maybe just cradle the feet so that you're softening. And we're going to use this breath again. So the breath is just going to, you're going to visualize the muscles relaxing in this position just here. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, and on the out breath, just notice the sinking. One last one, breathing in and out. And then we're going to roll up through the spine, Coming back up to a seated position. Let's bring those legs out in front of us, give those hips a little relax. So bring the legs nice and long, just give the hips a little shake out. And it's ready for our relaxation. So for the last few minutes, let's bring ourselves onto the mat. See if you can kind of roll down through the spine nice and comfortably. I'm going to take my hands towards my knees. My feet are flat on the floor, the knees up to the ceiling, and just take a gentle roll down onto the floor. And at this point, you might want to grab your blanket or an extra layer. So we always end a yoga class with a little bit of relaxation. And it's really nice just to lie there for a little bit. Glasses. So just getting yourself nice and settled on the mat. And you're going to take your focus to your breath and breathing again. So as you're lying there, just notice the breath and what happens to the body as you breathe in and out. Now we're going to use the breath to relax the parts of the body that you might feel that you're holding tension. So taking a nice deep breath in, perhaps you're holding tension in your lower back or the hips. On the next out breath, just focus on softening those muscles surrounding the hips and the back. Allow them to sink, allow them to soften. Again, maybe you're holding tension in your face or shoulders. Take a breath in, and on the out breath, see if you can just relax the face or relax the shoulders, softening the muscles. Once more, taking the whole body into consideration. So just thinking about the whole body and the mind. Perhaps there's something that's troubling you, or there's some unwanted thoughts or busyness going on in your mind. See if you can use the next out breath to package those thoughts up and send them away, leaving your mind a little bit open, a little bit calmer. And then just allow the whole body to feel calm and relaxed. We're going to finish with a poem by Donna Falls. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in spaciousness and acceptance of what is. Breathe out resistance. Breathe in possibility and optimism. Breathe out fear and doubt. Breathe in ease. Breathe out the need to change the way this moment is unfolding. Breathe in certainty. And breathe out limitation and conditioning. Breathe in divinity and openness. And breathe out a prayer of thanks, even in the midst of difficulty. This is awareness. Now very slowly start to bring your focus back to your room, back to your body, back to your breath. And then start to breathe a bit more deeply, sending energy to the fingers and to the toes, and give them a little wiggle. Start to stretch the hands and the feet and the arms and the legs. And use the breath to give your body energy. And just notice the nice cold breath as it comes into the body. And we take a little stretch and a reach. And then slowly start to bring some life into the whole of the body. And in your own time, just rolling over onto your side and ready to a seated position when you're ready.